everybody, it's Kay and thank you for watching. I did notice that I did get a bunch of new subscribers. Welcome to the family. And if you're watching this video and you are yet to subscribe to my channel, please go ahead and do so. My intention in starting to do this channel is to be able to share my experience in the hope that it will motivate and inspire others, particularly because when I was going through my own IVF cycles, I really looked on YouTube to be able to get the motivation that I needed, but most importantly, also learn from other people's experience. I do upload new videos every Tuesday. You will notice that I am very IVF rough in those videos, but being raw and real about what the process was like and is going to be like, I think is really, really important. And so hopefully you'll get inspiration from those video logs. And every once in a while, I'll get cleaned up and prepped up a little bit. And for these types of videos, what I usually do is when people reach out to me, ask me questions, and I notice that the question is something that could be useful to others, then I go ahead and do videos like this. Please go ahead and let me know if there's anything you need to know about my journey in the comments below, and if you'd like me to do a video about it as well. Today, I'm going to share with you a very common question that other people ask, which is, what was your diagnosis? So I will address that today. When we started our IVF journey, my husband and I underwent testing. The testing actually proved that I was the one that needed to get some extra help. I was the one that had some of those concerns. My husband, when it came to the little guys, the morphology, motility, everything was perfectly fine. And so the first diagnosis that the doctor shared with me that I had is diminished ovarian reserve. What the doctors did is that they ran some blood tests, AMH and FSH. The AMH, which is the anti-malarial hormone, proved that I wasn't really making as many eggs anymore. And so my reserves were actually diminishing and getting less and less. And so this was important for me to know because we were trying to have a baby, and we were also thinking about the various treatment methods, in particular IVF. And so this was part of the conversation that led to my doctor suggesting to me, and this is my very first doctor, suggesting to me the treatment plan based on that particular diagnosis. The second diagnosis that was the case for us was I was perimenopausal, meaning that I was getting, my body was showing signs of getting closer to the menopausal stage. And one of my doctors, I think, mentioned that they thought it was coming really soon, like within the next 5 years. And so, again, part of the diagnosis that led them to suggest the treatment plan. So I was perimenopausal. I did not mention it in the diminished ovarian reserve section, but I did want to let you know that my AMH level at the time that I was tested before starting my IVF cycles was 0.14, and my FSH was a 24.5. So that was a part of that diagnosis. The other diagnosis that the doctor was able to share with me is that I was, for lack of a better word, labeled as a poor responder. And so in looking at the data of the clinics, and remember these were the doctors that were offering me conventional IVF, they let me know that women who had my blood results, AMH level, FSH level, that we tended to not be able to even make IVF because we couldn't even get a minimum of the 3 eggs required to gain maturity in order for them to retrieve. And so whenever you are a poor responder, they may try the IVF, which is what they did for me. But then what ended up happening, because I only had 1 follicle mature, they canceled it, and then they reverted it into an IUI. The final diagnosis that the doctors were able to share with me is that I had age-related infertility. When I did my HSG, everything was fine. I passed a lot of the tests. I did not have blocked tubes. I did not have fibroids. I did not have any other conditions that might lead to infertility. The one thing that I did have was age-related infertility, which is meaning that at my age, it would take a really, really long time for me to get pregnant. And so upon doing research, what I discovered is that we are born with all the eggs that we have. And so in my case at the time, when I was first getting the testing, I had 42-year-old eggs. And they're yours right from when you were in your mother's womb. Those are the eggs. And so that's kind of why it took a long time for us, and why it was also not working. Because when the eggs are that old, there are scenarios where even if they fertilize, they may not be able to make it. They might have, some issues. It was really eye-opening to be able to kind of see the journey. And one of the benefits of being able to do my mini IVF was I was actually able to see the day-by-day progression right from retrieval, what my eggs were doing. And that was very helpful for us because we really wanted to give every embryo a chance. Now, we were lucky enough to get to the golden egg at our 6th IVF cycle. Out of the 12 that we did, we were able to get a 5th, a day 5 embryo that we froze and then tested, which ended up being euploid. And then we froze it and then continued embryo banking. And then a year later, since we had tested that one, that was the one that we were able to utilize for the transfer, and which eventually led to this pregnancy. As far as the treatment plan for our diagnosis, our doctors were so gracious to us to tell us the truth, that conventional IVF was not going to be a choice for us based out of my diagnosis, because it has a 97% chance of failure based on the diagnosis I just talked about. And so I remember at the time walking away and thinking, well, I don't know if IVF is right. They were willing to do it once, but again, it had a 97% chance of failure. So that was the time when I discovered mini IVF. I had done some research. 3 doctors that do mini IVF in the country that I was able to see were Dr. Zhang in New York City, Dr. Saul Silber in Missouri, and Dr. Frank Yelian in LA. And I ended up working with Dr. Frank Yelian in LA. And what Dr. Frank Yelian did that was helpful for us, based out of my diagnosis and other women who had similar diagnosis, he had data to be able to see how the mini IVF process worked. And so for women our age in his clinic, we knew that we needed to go through multiple cycles because others that had gotten success did that. And at the time, the IVF cycle suggested for mini IVF was 1 out of 6 cycles or 1 out of 8 cycles. That meant that I could get it the first time, the second or the third or the fourth, up to 6 or up to 8, or I could get it or I could not get it at all. As you know, because IVF is a journey of hope and faith. Just because the data says it's going to work, it doesn't always work for everybody, as you guys know. But that was the data that we worked with based on the diagnosis. All right, so I hope that clarifies a lot of what was our diagnosis and the treatment plan for that particular diagnosis. And hopefully, if there's anything I shared here that you resonate with or that you identify with from your experience, feel free to talk to your doctor, or you can always reach out to my doctor, Frank Yelian, for a free consultation. That's actually how I was able to switch doctors. If you look at my videos, you will see as soon as I attended his free webinar, he does a monthly webinar with the Life IVF Center. So they do a free monthly webinar. And I listened in and I called him that evening and I changed doctors first thing the following morning and canceled my conventional IVF cycle and started working with him. And so, but it was what I was able to talked to him about that changed my decision, that consultation and what he was able to share with me. So it may be the same for you, it may not, but I don't think it hurts in this journey. That's why most of us share our experiences in the hopes that maybe there will be something that will motivate others. All right, well, thank you for tuning in, everybody. If you have any questions about our diagnosis, please feel free to ask in the comment section below. I will also put a link to the Life IVF Center so that you can be able to take a quick look at that. Thank you for watching. Until my next video. Bye.